Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Within Range Coaching Podcast. I'm Ranger, certified holistic success coach, and in this podcast, I'm breaking down the journey that entrepreneurs face as they start their organization, find solutions to the roadblocks in their way, and create an impact that lasts. So if you're an entrepreneur, nonprofit leader, or purpose-driven community member that wants to learn how to grow your impact and develop yourself as the person behind the mission, then this podcast is for you. I know you're just as eager to get started as I am, so let's jump right in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to our special live stream podcast recording. Today, we're going to be going over something that is important for pretty much every business, nonprofit, community project, and that is enrollment. And enrollment is used in a couple of different formats, concepts, etc. And we'll go over more detail in just a moment of what we mean when we say enrollment. I'm joined today by Piper Hightower of 45 Degree Coaching. Piper, who are you?
Who am I? Who aren't I? I am Piper Hightower. I am 45 Degree Coaching, where we empower leaders by strengthening teams. I have a huge passion for team and group development, how people work together, and kind of creating that bond and that trust and that communication, because I think so often leaders forget that their teams are one of their most underutilized resources. So that's kind of what I am about and what 45 Degree Coaching is about. I'm super excited to be here with you today, at least on one platform.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm excited to make it happen. That was a great introduction. But yeah, as I mentioned before, we are here today to talk a little bit about enrollment. And enrollment can mean a bunch of different things. It could mean sales. It could kind of mean marketing. It can mean all these different, aspects, things, whatever. But to really focus in on what we mean when we say enrollment is that we are focusing more so on getting folks invested, interested, and really aligned with the mission and value statement of a business, an organization, and really just bringing folks together behind a unified purpose, whether it's a team, a community. It's a little bit of a higher level thing than just selling a product or selling a service.
Yeah, you and I talked a lot about that in preparation for this, that it's not marketing, it's not branding, it's not sales, it's not strong arming, right? That there's this thing that you can do with people that really is enrolling them and inviting them in to something greater than just the immediate perk, right?
Yeah, and we're going to define all of that. What do we mean when we say perk? What do we mean when we say mission statement, vision statement? What are all these different aspects? And to really just focus in on that, we've already defined a little bit of what enrollment is. It's bringing folks into the fold, getting them invested and interested. And we're going to focus in on something else that's a little bit different from those things, but it's really being able to sit back and define the goal. So when I say the goal, that means what is the overall purpose of why you guys are there? For businesses, in my framework, in my beliefs, in my understanding, for most businesses, it's to make money. It's to have a product or a service that at the end of the day is exchanged for money, cash, dollars, whatever. And then you provide value. And we can talk more about what value means versus money versus exchange. But really, for most businesses, 99.9%, it's to turn a profit. You're not going to be able to help people if you're not able to keep the doors open. And for nonprofits, generally speaking, it's a little bit different, right? For nonprofits, it's usually more around what it is that they're actually creating and the problems that they're solving. Typically, businesses and nonprofits are separated by the fact that, I guess, instead of necessarily bringing in money like a business would to show success, and the way that I view it again, is like an animal shelter. They're able to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome as many animals as possible. That's a little bit more of what it is. And Piper, what do you kind of think about everything I just said?
Lots of thoughts. I think that what you're talking about can be one of the hardest things about really having having a business and trying to enroll people is that there is the goal of making money, but then there's also the goals of um, that greater vision and that greater purpose. And there's like the good I want to do in the world, but I can't do that good if I don't make money. And am I a nonprofit? Am I a for-profit? And it can get so muddled and so confusing. I think that was a huge part of why you and I wanted to hop on and have this conversation is that like, what really is the thing that I'm telling people about? Am I telling them about the rescue? Am I telling them about the money? Like I can't sell someone on me making money, but I do think I have something that's worth telling you about and getting you excited about with me. Like there's so much to it, right?
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I've heard from business owners that are very much like kind of towing that line between business and nonprofit. It's like it feels weird to say that we're here to make money. But at the end of the day, again, a thing that's kind of worked for me on that is when somebody pays you, it's because there's a either equal or a seesawed value exchange. And in my opinion, if somebody is going to say, hey, here's $1, I want to be able to provide them $1.50 worth of value. Right? Trying to like overload it to where they're like, man, this was the best deal ever. Like, look at what happened at the end of the day. And I don't know. I mean, that's maybe another discussion is how to provide value, what that really means, and how to make offers and et cetera, et cetera. But like you said, the goal of making money combined with the vision statement, combined with the mission statement, combined with all these other aspects, it's typically seen as very different and opposing aspects of running a business. Right?
You mean like
That
the
people feel
vision
like,
compared to making money?
yeah. And I don't know, like you said, people kind of feel icky when they say that, right? Like, well, we're here to change the world, but the ticket to change the world land costs money, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's such a balance, I think, especially so many of the entrepreneurs that you talk with, like
Mm-hmm.
really need to find. And yeah, and I think that's a lot of what we're hoping to unpack today is like how do those dance together? Because they're, like you said, the money is a necessary aspect to make the vision come to fruition.
And I think really the first step in, I don't know, bringing all those different aspects together and not feeling so icky about it, we'll just kind of keep using that icky term, but
Yeah.
is being very clear on what the mission is, what the vision is, being able to distinctly say, instead of them being like these terms that we're kind of halfway avoiding, really diving in and saying, okay, this is what the goal is. This is the mission. This is the vision. This is how we're making the magic happen. So just again, to kind of reiterate, or I guess to what, offer a definition, the difference between a mission and a vision statement.
I love a good definition. Let's go.
The definitions. So I got some examples from some of our favorite companies. And by our favorite, I mean, I'm just a little bit of a fangirl for them. Where did
Also
they
love
go?
a good fangirl.
Love a good fangirl. So when I say a vision statement for a business is typically something that is higher. It's really the overarching reason that the business exists. And again, a belief that I have about businesses, nonprofits, is that all of them are there to solve problems. I always refer to entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, community members, the do-gooders, change makers of the world, is that they create magic. Where there was a problem before, they conjure up a solution. Where there were issues, they find, I don't know, reasons that are good. And
Totally.
a vision statement is typically, it's almost like an unachievable, idealistic point in the world, right? So to kind of explain that, I have two examples. So I have IKEA and Google. So the vision statement for IKEA is to create a better everyday life for as many people as possible. Google is to provide access to the world's information in one click. So like what I'm saying there is that those are crazy visions, right? Like idealistic, this is the perfect world. This is what we want to create with this business. And that's like the overarching reasons that they're there. And I don't know about you, but being able to have the world's information at one click or to create a better everyday life for the many people, like those are solid. Like, how can you not think that that's good? And that's kind of what I say when I mean vision statements.
Yeah, I think to jump in with you on the vision statement there, it's like, what was it that Cami said at her coach style leadership recently? Shout out to Cami and McLaren Coaching, that something's only impossible until you do it. I might have even been, it was a quote from, I want to even say maybe Nelson Mandela, I'm not sure. But I think that's what you're saying is like, the vision is the impossible that wouldn't that be so cool if it was realized?
Exactly.
Right?
And I'm sure.
And I don't need it to be something that I know how I'm going to get there, but it's kind of that like, but man, if we could, what a world we'd get to live in.
Exactly. And I'm sure, I don't know, the Google, I can't remember who started Google, but when he said to provide access to the world's information in one click, like that's crazy. Like who would do that? Why is that even a thing? How do you make that happen? And now we look at it like when you look something up on the internet, you don't say, I'm going to Bing it, I'm going to Yahoo it. Like I'm going to Google it.
Well, now we do it from our computers in our pockets.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, we could get,
it's not even a click anymore. It's a tab, right? Like that's just a good sign of like what a vision can be, right?
Exactly. And like with the IKEA vision, like to create a better everyday life for the many people, like, I don't know. It's like, how do you not resonate with it? Like, I want to create a better everyday life for as many people as possible. Like, heck yeah, that's great. Right. And the mission statements. So the vision statement is like, again, that idealistic picture of the world. And the mission statement is more so, how are we going to make that happen?
Yeah.
So for IKEA.
Before we switch to mission really quick, Julie commented, what are our vision statements? Did I get that right, Julie? Is that your Julie? Nice. Yay. Hi, Julie. Do you want to go first, Ranger, or do you want me to go first?
Yep, go ahead.
I think for me, the vision is, yay, she says yes. For me, the vision of 45-degree coaching is a world where people truly rely on each other and are better because of it. The vision for me truly is real and lasting teamwork and freedom to be different and freedom to be better because of our differences.
Yeah, because a lot of your business is focused on teams.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Coming together, working together towards like a common goal, the common good, whatever it is.
Yeah. So that's mine. It's just that a world where people truly live into the truth that I hold, that you will get further together.
Exactly. Further together. Oh, God, that's great. And for mine, so mine is a little bit more focused on the individual, right? Like the person that like is like the CEO, the nonprofit leader. And it's more so a world where everyone can feel empowered to add their own brand of magic to their community.
Ooh,
so
I love that.
Cute, right? So it's more so about they feel like they see an issue, they can jump in, right? Like what is the mantra of, I saw a problem and I thought, man, someone should do something about that. And then they kind of realize like, oh, wait, I am someone. Like I have the power, I have the tools, like I can make something happen here.
Well, and think about that vision, the way it plays out in the world, because I think so often we see a problem and we think to ourselves, man, it'd be great if someone fixed that problem next. But like, what if everybody believed that they could make a difference about the problem they saw and leaned into that? Like, what a cool vision to have for the world.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're able to jump in and say, let's do something about this. Build a team.
Hey!
But yeah, so that's really what a vision is. It's something big to strive for, right? Yeah. And then when it comes to a mission, that's more so, okay, now how are we going to make this happen?
Yeah.
So for IKEA, which let's go from like that huge concept of crazy vision of create a better everyday life. And their mission is to offer a wide range of well-designed, functional home furnishing products at prices so low that as many people as possible will be able to afford them.
Yeah. It's
cool.
The how.
Yep.
There's the ambitious, man, we're going to create this world, and here's how in our right now.
Exactly. It's It's like create a better everyday life by providing well-designed functional furniture. Like it's like, well, duh, that's what, of course, that's what IKEA does, right?
Well, and that's a good example of why a mission's important too, right? Not just a vision, but a vision and a mission. Because the vision, I love a good vision. I love dreaming. I am a dreamer. I could live in visions all day. My dad and I will just sit at the table and vision away. And then we leave and we're like, do, 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 do. But like without a mission, you're not actually stepping closer to it. You do need that clarity. You do need that those building blocks, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
because
someday you look back and you're like, man, it could have been a really cool world had that vision been realized.
exactly. It's more so like, yeah, here's this like subjective. So yeah, subjective. I hate saying wishy-washy, but it's like this like big dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to get there unless you have some kind of a roadmap or some direction of where you're going.
Totally.
And I feel like that's really the best way in order to decide whether or not you actually are being productive with the tasks that you're doing. And the way that I define productive is it moving you towards the goal and mission? Is it like, what is it moving you towards? Are you just doing a bunch of busy work and being productive, or is that work moving you towards the mission?
Yeah. And I think we've got a question, Julie. This is one of my Julies. Hi, Julie. She says, so the mission is how you execute the vision? Question mark.
Yeah. So for me to kind of jump in on that. So the mission is more so, yes, how you execute the vision. And I think the interesting thing about the mission is that one can be a little bit more fluid than the vision, right? Is that the vision is very subjective, but that doesn't change, or it shouldn't change just because of whatever kind of is going on, right? But the mission can kind of shift and move around in order to achieve that vision. So I guess if we're kind of defining it like the pop model, so we have like the purpose for the business being there is the vision statements, like to create a better world for everyone. The, outcome is by providing, affordable, great furniture. And then the process is whatever we need to do to make that outcome possible, right? And that's where you kind of get into like the nitty gritty of, okay, well, where do we source the material from? What is our productivity? What is our effectiveness on manufacturing? What is our price per part? Like that's like the nitty gritty stuff, right? So it kind of has those different layers to it.
Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing you say too is that the mission really kind of lives in that outcome world, would you say? Or more in the nitty gritty?
Vision lives more so in the purpose world, like that higher, like in the sky kind of.
Yep.
And then
like
I would say that
almost.
Yeah, and then the outcome is more so the mission.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, the trees, that's the things you can see, right? So it's like, imagine like a landscape. It's like the pretty clouds in the sky, like aim for the stars, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the vision. That's the big thing. That's the overarching thing that we see when we look up. The outcome, the mission is the trees, the mountains, the beautiful landscape in front of us. And then the process are like the roots, the microbiome in the soil. Like that's what's making all of that possible on the outskirts as we build towards the sky.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. And I love that you talked about the mission as fluid. And I think that can be so confusing in a lot of ways because it's like, well, it's not fluid in some ways because you want it to be very specific. Like with IKEA, right? It's going to be affordable. It's going to be, honestly, that's the only one I can remember right now, but it will be affordable. And they will give you a tool with each furniture, and I am grateful for it. But, but I think part of a mission is like, you have, okay, here's the vision. Here's where I'd like to go. And I have these resources. And so with these resources, I will use them in this way toward this goal that will help me accomplish this vision. Now, if those resources change, that's when the mission gets fluid. Like, wow, we have more resources. We can expand. The mission can now be this. The mission can now be this. But it's all got that forward momentum toward that vision.
Exactly. And I think that when it comes to like the money aspect, right? Like that's just I don't know, the rules of nature, right? Like we can only plant as many trees as we can afford. But that doesn't mean that we can't get more of it. We can't figure it out. We can't make it work. And that's really what I guess what I would want to get across in this is that, the goal of making money, bringing in donations works together with the mission, with the vision, with the rules of the land. And it kind of creates this like fluid, like ecosystem in and of itself, as opposed to all these different warring nations, right? Like that's not what it is. They all should be working together towards a better tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so let's mission, vision, enrollment.
Yes. Okay. So we've I don't know, we've brushed the groomed horse already on those. So so when it comes to the idea of the goal, the mission, the vision, when we say enrollment, it's really getting people behind those things. So Piper, do you want to talk a little bit about what it means to actually be enrolled in all of that, generally speaking?
Yeah. And actually, that's so funny. There's another one of my Julies who's asking, can you share ideas of getting others involved in your vision? And what a perfect segue. This is my ultimate Julie. It's my mom.
Hi, Piper's mom.
But I think that's exactly the shift we're hoping to make, which is if you want to really enroll someone, you have to make sure it's a conversation about the vision. And when it comes to being enrolled in something, and Ranger, if I'm going off kilter, bring me back. But I think we can look at getting people involved, right? And there's different levels of that. And I think, Ranger, what you're talking about, like there's the roots of the tree, there's the trees, and then there's the vision, right? You can get someone enrolled in the roots of the trees. Like, hey, if you help me do this event, then I will give you this much money. If you come work for me, I will give you this paycheck. If you buy my product, it's going to get you this type of lifestyle. Or if you buy my product, I'm going to give this percentage to this nonprofit. So you're going to be like good with your money, like you've been a good steward of your money, right? So there's those weeds, like we can sell them and enroll them on the nuts and bolts. And that has a certain level of value to it. There's nothing wrong with that. But then there's also this next step of, okay, now we're looking at the trees. You have a mission. Can I enroll you in having the most affordable furniture? Maybe that's super exciting to you and you're really passionate about affordable living. And for families who can't afford super nice furniture, they still deserve to feel like they have an adorable home. And that there's value in that too. And I would argue that those people are going to be more invested than the people invested with just buying the product. In the roots within this analogy, you got the trees. But then if you jump up to this higher vision level and you say, are you willing to join me in making every day better for everyone? It's like, are you willing to dream with me and make this happen? That enrollment shifts because they see themselves in the world you're trying to create. It's not like I'll give you, you give me, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, which there's value to that, right? We need our back scratched. Like you said, like we need money. That's a thing, right? But if we can jump to this higher level with the vision and say, hey, here's my vision. Do you want to join me in changing the world? Then I think that enrollment really locks in for people.
Yeah, and I love that we're going on this like I don't know, nature, whatever. That analogy.
We love a good tree.
Yeah, we love a good tree. But that's also a good thing too, is that it's not about always having your head in the clouds, right? And not being able to see what's going on at ground level. But it's not about having your head in the dirt that you're so bogged down by the day-to-day intricacies that you're not remembering why you're there to begin with. Right. It's about being able to paint that picture instead of just it's not just like a snapshot of one or the other. It's about painting that whole panorama of the entire scene.
Yeah. And constantly checking every level of it. And again, a plug for things that I'm passionate about. If you're bad at the roots and the nitty gritty, do you have someone on your team who's good at it? right?
Exactly.
If you're bad at dreaming, do you have someone on your team who's good about it? That's my particular bent. So I digress. But
Yeah. And I think it's also a thing where it's going to be when it comes to building a team or working with other people. Like for mine, it's more so like having a partner in your business, right? Like if you have two, I don't know, for like a partnership, right? If both of you are head in the clouds, you're not going to be able to see what's going on in the soil. You're not going to see that you're low in nitrogen or sulfates, right? This is my ag background coming out, right?
I love it.
But if you're so bogged down in the soil and like cultivating the land, you're not going to remember why you're there to begin with.
Yes.
So it's kind of like being able to say, "Hey, I love being my head in the clouds. I love being up here. It's nice." But being able to say, "Okay, what's going on at ground level? How does that what do we need to do down here to move where we're trying to go up above?" And if you're bogged down
Mm-hmm.
on the land and you're the one, the nitty-gritty doing the work, like being able to look up and say, this is why we're doing it. And
Yes.
again, I don't know anything about furniture manufacturing, right? But when it comes to like the people in the warehouse, right, that are in the manufacturing, like they're in there day in and day out. They're, I don't know, putting together the packs. They're putting together the screws. They're drilling holes, cutting the wood that needs to be set up. Like they're not thinking about the fact that they're creating like adorable furniture for people that need affordable, adorable furniture, right?
Yeah, they're not sitting there with me and my daughter having a tea party on that table.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a good reminder from time to time that that's really what they're there for, right? Like, I don't know, it's like, what is the rule? Like 80-20, like, well, in this case, when I say 80-20, typically it's like 80% of problems come from 20% of X, or 80% of good things come from 20% blank. It's like 80% of your focus is on the area that you're the best in. But there's that room for that 20% to be reminded of why you're there or what's going on.
Yeah, like be that you kind of need all of those levels. And I think I'll start to shift to another area that we really wanted to talk about a lot, which was so you've got your idea of your vision, you've got your idea of your mission, and you've got your idea of kind of like your weeds, maybe some of those perks, either for you as a business or for employees or for investors or for like customers, right? Whoever's kind of in those nitty gritties. So I think when you and I were talking, you've got the vision, the mission, and then the perks. I think if you're going to enroll anybody in anything, you first have to be able to articulate those for yourself. Because if you don't know the vision of your business or the vision of your nonprofit, then you can't invite someone to join you in changing the world because you can't articulate how it's going to change. How are you going to inspire that if you can't articulate it? And same with the mission. It's like, well, what does your business do? It's like, well, we're like furniture people. We do the furniture. And then someone would leave that conversation like, yeah, okay, great. I'm glad I ran into them at that cocktail party, but I'm not feeling like there's like a drive or there's kind of that, like you said, that mission, right? And then same in the nitty gritty, someone's like, well, if I come work for you, like, what am I going to make? You're like, money. I don't know, money. Right. But if you can't articulate all three of those levels, you're not going to be able to inspire whatever someone's looking for.
Yeah. And there's also that other level of, and I didn't realize we're already so many minutes in already. I was like, yeesh. Being able to articulate it yourself and getting clear on what each of those are for you and your business or nonprofit, whatever. But also, like, how enrolled are you in the vision, in the mission, in everything that's going on? Like, did you just write this stuff on paper and you just wrote it down because Piper and Ranger told you to on a random Wednesday? Or like, how enrolled, how much do you believe in what's going on? Because that conviction carries through in everything you say and do. Like with the walk, for me, for example, it's like, here's my mission, here's my vision, right? If I don't believe that I can make it across and I don't believe in my capabilities or how I'm doing it or the stuff that I've already done, how do I expect people to donate their time to driving me around, to giving me donations, to, I don't know, being on the podcast and giving me their time and resources, right? Or attention in general. Like,
Yeah.
I have to believe more than anybody else in what's going on.
It's like if you deliver it as though it's a chore for you, people are going to receive it as though it's going to be a chore for them.
Exactly.
I love the example of your walk. And I think that's so true, especially for so many nonprofits that, like, when it comes to for-profit businesses, there's often this understanding of like, well, we both need this, right? There's, I think that's how commerce works. And with a nonprofit, there is an ask, which is, I I can't give you the same thing. What I'm asking for you to invest in is me giving these resources to something else for the betterment of our community, for the betterment of the world, whatever the passion project is for that nonprofit. And I think especially for nonprofits, you better know that vision and you better know how to deliver it like you're on fire about it.
Exactly. Because I mean, that's the thing too. Like when I worked or when I worked with, I don't know how to say it, when I was on the board for the NorCal Herpetological Society, like we
Yeah.
were asking people like for donations to volunteer for free. And I mean, I was president and I had like three positions at one time at some point, but it was because I really believed in what we were doing. Like it was so,
Yes.
there's also that level of tangibility, right? Like if you are so clear on your mission and vision and you are 100% convicted behind those things, that's great, comma, what have you done about it? Right? It's
Yes.
not
Are
just
you in?
saying, yeah, are you actually doing something? Are you just saying it? Do you just believe in it? Or are you doing something about it? And that was clear based off of
Absolutely.
what we were doing, like what we had. I don't know, we rehomed like hundreds of animals in a year. We were able to cover the vet costs of all these critters. We were able to educate at all these different events. Like we were already doing the work. So it's having that burden of proof that, hey, I am who I say I am. Yeah, here's the clouds, here's where we're gonna put the trees, but like here's the garden over here that we've already put in. Like
Mhm.
we're already doing something.
When we came into having this talk, like the kind of the conversations we had coming into it, one of the things that came up was there are really three key players in the conversation of enrollment. And you and I are both super clear. So there's this feeling when you're trying to get people involved and you're trying to get people enrolled in your business, in your nonprofit, in your family, let's be real, there's enrollment with my 4-year-old all day. Like, hey, I'm just enrolling you into vegetables. Can I just enroll you into putting your shoes on, please? Like, please. Like, there's enrollment everywhere around us, right? So there's the thing that you are trying to enroll someone in. And we've been talking a lot about that. Are you enrolling in the vision, in the mission, or in the perks? But then there's you. You are a player in this enrollment because they can only see that item through you. You are the window, the lens, because they're going to see your enthusiasm or your lack of enthusiasm. They're going to see your buy-in or your lack of buy-in. They're going to see, are you like, do you actually care about reptiles or do you not? That's your, right? Herbological?
Yeah, herpetological was lizards, snakes, spiders, all that fun. Well, not really spiders,
Perfect.
but we did that too.
Spiders are cool. That's allowed. Bring them in. We've enrolled them. But I think the third player that is really important to know is who are you enrolling? Who do you think wants to be a part of this vision with you? Because if I have a nonprofit that focuses on supporting youth in the community through art and music, I'm not going to go to football games to promote, right? And not to say that someone who loves football can't love art and vice versa. That's not it at all. But you need to give as much care to understanding your vision, mission, and perks as you do to understanding your own investment in it, as you do to understanding who are you trying to get invested with you. Like, who do you really think wants to be a part of changing this world in the way you see this change? And are you finding those people? Are you looking for those people? Are you going to where they are? And are you seeing them? Like, wow, I see in you a love for art and music and youth. I have something for you. Or like, hey, I just saw you save that spider instead of kill it. Like, I've got a thing for you. Right? Like, are you looking for people who see the change that you're trying to make happen and the people who want that change to happen too?
Exactly. It's meeting people where they're at. And that's also kind of like alongside the goal, right? Like resource allocation. I'm not gonna go, I don't know, I'm not gonna go to the Lizard Haters Anonymous meeting to try to enroll people to be members in the herpetological society in the area. And like I might go to like a reptile expo where not everybody's a member, not everybody knows that we exist. I mean, there's an expo I think this weekend that that NCHS is going to, and that's the perfect place to be because at least everybody coming through the door, if they're not, I don't know, live, laugh, loving lizards, like they're interested, they're ready to dip their toes in, and it's also understand like what you're saying is seeing them as an individual and being able to say like through a little bit of a conversation like, oh, is this person more of an up in the sky kind of person? Are they the trees? Or are they more of like the like making the soil microbiome happen? Like, and you can kind of tell that based off of what lights someone up. Like that's just personality types and being able to really be with someone and sit with them and I don't know, like what,
Yes.
be present, be curious, all the fun coaching terms, right? But yeah, being able to really see that person as an individual and enrolling them into the team, into the group. And something that there's that, what was it? The Donor Growth Podcast. I don't think they're doing it anymore, unfortunately, but they were two nonprofit consultants. And one of the, I don't know, the most useful thing that I got out of all, whatever, however many episodes of them I listened to was if you're trying to enroll someone in the vision of your business, it's to remember the phrase, people like us do things like this. Like, we're not talking about, oh, this is what we are doing. This is what I'm doing. It's like, I can see that you and I are like on the same vibe. Like, we care about proper husbandry of reptiles. We care about conservation of flora and fauna, right? Like, that's what we have in common already. This is what we're doing about it. Like, are you in? Like, I don't
Totally.
know. This is what the membership costs. Like, just jump in and we'll do it.
Yeah. And we'll change the world together. And I think something that's so, there are two truths that I see in people, which is once you hear them, it'll make sense why I like working with teams. But the first is we do nothing alone, right? No business exists because one person did all the things and didn't need anybody else. Like it's like literally anti-business. Business is I have a thing for you and I need you to want this thing too, right? Like we do nothing alone is one. Two is people long to belong to something, right? Like just in who we are. And you could talk about that in relationships and you could talk about that in community and all that. But I think like we desire to feel like we belong to something. And so why wouldn't you pair those two things together? And I think that's enrollment is, you know, like you said, if you come with us, here's what we're doing. What was the quote you said, Ranger? You still have it up?
Yeah. If people like us do things like this.
Yeah. People like us do things like this. And it's like, hey, I can't do any of this without you. And then this person saying, oh, thank God I was looking for a place to belong. And that's enrollment. Can you get to that level with someone where you see them and where they want to belong? And can you offer them a place in what you're doing? Because you need them and they need you.
Yeah. And I think to kind of tie back in with that, like that landscape mentality, right? It's like people like us do things like this so that we can build a world that's like that. Like it's not just about, hey, this is the work that needs doing. It's like, this is the bigger reason. Like nobody likes cleaning lizard cages, right? Like it's gross. I don't like walking every day, but I walk because I see something bigger. I see the
Mm-hmm.
podcast. Like I'm doing it. Like there's that proof. I'm doing these kinds of live streams. I'm doing this work. And it's to achieve this overall vision of it. And it's just like in the teams that you've worked with, it's like I'm also assuming things for you. Like the day-to-day
Absolutely.
work, I don't know, like because you worked a lot in brewing and like breweries and beer and
Uh-huh.
service industries, right? Like I would assume it's like nobody likes cleaning dishes. Nobody
No.
likes sweeping the floors, mopping like whatever. But they do it one, of course, for the paycheck, for the perk. Like we're romanticizing it a little bit, right? But it's because they're providing a good experience for families. They're giving them a space where they can celebrate birthdays, they can celebrate anniversaries, that I don't know, life-changing or super awkward first dates can happen. Right? Like you're cultivating this environment
Yes,
that's more important than the work that just needs doing. Therefore,
absolutely.
we do it.
Absolutely. And I think as we come close to the end of our time, I think that's such a beautiful reminder that you can enroll people in every level. But if you can enroll them in that larger purpose, they're going to be so much more invested than that perk that you have to keep handing them. You clean, I give you money. You clean, I give you money. You clean, I give you money. Or you clean, I give you money so that we can be the place where someone, when they get married, said they hung out for the first time. And
Exactly.
we
It's
let them stay 30 minutes past closing because we could see that they were hitting it off and they were the only two left and they didn't realize it because they were just so crazy about each other. Like I've had it happen and we're like kind of like awkwardly shuffling chairs like, okay guys, like it's time to go to the next place, but like you can't bring yourself to because you've fallen in love with the vision of, man, this place that we get to mop tonight is a part of their forever story.
exactly. And to really just hone in on that, like that's the value that you can create when you enroll an employee, a team member in the vision of the business, right? And
Absolutely.
that's something that I try to get across in my coaching is that, like, personal wellness, business success, work-life balance, whatever you want to call it, like your job is a huge portion of your life. And I don't know, it's my belief that you should enjoy that. Like you should be bought in on the vision, on the mission of what you're really doing at work. Because it sounds like there's the aspect of like, I don't hate my life. I don't hate my job. Like, this is what I do. Even on the worst days, it's like, okay, like, I don't know, I spilled the mop bucket on my foot again, whatever. Trying to keep it simple.
Like I
But
bleached my pants.
I bleached my pants again. This is the fifth time this week.
Yeah.
And that's the value that the employees get. If you're able to enroll them in that mission, in that vision, and truly believe it for themselves, there's a good chance it's going to increase their overall satisfaction, their overall enjoyment of their job, so that they're not, I don't know, de-stressing for 30 minutes in the parking lot before walking through the door. Like they're excited to go to work.
Mhm.
And, we can talk more about perks later, but that it makes sense for them.
Totally.
But yeah, we're coming up on the end of the time. How are we doing on Facebook or Instagram? So Facebook, there aren't any questions. Instagram, are there any other questions that you would have for us before we start kind of wrapping up everything?
I've been trying to keep an eye, but if I missed your question, retype it. We'd love to answer it. Also, go check out, seriously, for those of you who joined later on, Ranger, do you want to talk about the link again?
Yep. So Piper and I created a little bit of a workbook to go with this. It's called Enrolling in the Deep. And I don't know, one, it's a fun
We haven't
Adele
even sang
pun.
that yet.
We haven't even sang it yet.
Enrolling in the deep. That's all I got
Perfect.
for you. I'm sorry.
That's all
Yeah.
I'm going to do. But really, I guess the reason that, I don't know, Adele is just fun, but it's also when you enroll someone in the deep of the vision of the mission, then they're really bought in. Then they're really there. They're really in it. It's not just the shallow baseline understanding of what's going on. Like you're in it, right? Maybe we should have said that from the beginning to really tie in the whole conversation, but whatever. Anyway.
We'll re-edit it for the podcast.
I know my podcast editing guy is going to have a heyday with this one. Sorry, bud. But anyway, we made a little bit of a workbook. It's like 4 or 5 pages. There's 11 questions. And it's really answering the questions, going through it again. What is enrollment? What is the goal of your organization? What is the mission? What is a vision statement? What's your mission? Your mission and vision statement. Are you enrolled? What's the value of being enrolled? Like, it answers everything for like those three players: the vision, the me, the we. And how do you kind of knock it down from those three to just the vision and the we? So if you just go to withinrangecoaching.com/enrolling-in-the-deep-page, you will be able to just throw in your name, your email, and I can't figure out how to change the button. It says book now, which sounds like a command from a barbarian. Like, give me book now.
Whoa, now.
And you just hit it and then it gives you the book. I can't figure out how to change it for the life of me.
But it is an effective link, so that's what really matters.
It works. I was like, all right, what's the goal here? Get the book in people's hands.
Yep.
If I can't get the mission of having a page look perfect, close enough, right?
That's a tomorrow mission. But I think what really Ranger's in my goal with this, and I'll give him all the credit for designing it. He made it beautifully. Our dream was to, out of this kind of conceptual conversation we're having, give you an opportunity to really like zero in on what is your vision, your mission, right? Like, get yourself some clarity. And then something that Ranger and I both do and are both super passionate about is, if you feel like at the end of that document, you need more clarity or more accountability, making that happen and enrolling people, like, call us.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll also make sure in the comments of this, when the podcast comes out, it's going to have all of our contact info and everything. But I really encourage and challenge and suggest that if you want to get more clear on your vision, your mission, how invested are you, go through the workbook, answer the questions, whatever. It's a visual reminder, but take us up on that. Do one of our free coaching calls. Free introductory call. First call's on us. Yeah.
First call's on us. Either of us, both of us. Get 2 calls.
Yeah, no, dude, no. Bring the same topic to both of us, and I don't know, different coaching styles, different backgrounds, different whatever. It's like, it's super valuable to be able to have that as a resource. So if you want to take us up on it, you can DM us on Facebook, Instagram, send us an email. We both have websites too, but our emails, Piper's is phightower@45degreecoaching.com. Mine is ranger@withinrangecoaching.com. I prep people before calls for their first one. I'm sure Piper does the same thing. So it's like, hey, if you don't even know how a coaching call works, we'll stumble through it together and come out pretty strong and standing steady on the other side. So
yeah, I think when it comes to coaching, if you've never been coached, like, you're in the rink, you're doing it, you're living your life. We desperately want to be in your corner with you. Like, you deserve someone in your corner championing for you, and that's what we do.
Exactly. So again, to wrap everything up, how enrolled are you in your own mission? Do you know what your mission is? Do you know what your vision is? Do you know what your goal is? Do you know how to get others involved in it? How to really, I don't want to say the word sell, but really enroll them in it, right? Enroll them in the mission, because at the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of people walking around on a spinning planet, and the best way to make things happen is together. So Check out the book. Take us up on the free coaching offer. If you guys have any questions before, during, after the live stream, let us know. I'm going to send this information off to our editor for the podcast. And when it's released, it'll be up there as well. But Piper, thanks for hanging out on a Wednesday.
Thank you, Ranger. I've loved this. I've loved every bit of it.
All right. And thanks for everybody for staying tuned and hanging out with us for a little bit. I'm sure we'll do more of these in the future. But other than that, have fun, stay safe, and remember to be yourself. Bye, guys.